A very warm welcome to everyone. Today on Thoughts on Education, we have with us Dr. Rio D'Souza, the principal for St. Joseph's Engineering College, Mangalore. To talk about Dr. Rio D'Souza, Sir has worked in the field of engineering education for more than 25 years in various capacities, both academic as well as administrative. Currently, he is the principal of St. Joseph's Engineering College. His research areas include evolutionary computing, cloud computing, and engineering education. Dr. D'Souza is a life member of the Indian Society for Technical Education and Advanced Computing and Communication Society. He is a senior member of the IEEE and a fellow of the Institute of Engineers India. He has been included in the panel of international experts on engineering education by the Indo-University Collaboration on Engineering Education and has conducted pre-certification workshops for IUCEE International Engineering Education Certification Program as well. Recently, Sir was awarded by IUCEE as an outstanding institutional leader for 2019. So today, to have Sir on the panel, it's a real honor and delight for having Sir today. So very warm welcome to you, Sir.
Thank you, Tejas. Nice to be talking to you. Thank you.
Yeah. Sure, Sir. And Sir, to start off this interview, first, Sir, we would like to know that you have been in the academics for almost 26 years now. And you have held various positions as a principal and head of department and professors, right? So what are some factors that always keep you connected with the education sector?
Well, teaching is a passion. So naturally, if you want to be in the teaching profession, you need to be connected to what is happening in the education field. So I normally try to do that. Whatever I can find on education, I try to read upon that. I had a particular interest in e-learning. So again, that was where you bring in technology into education. So that requires you to understand what the developments in the education field as well as on the technology side, and then try to find a way to merge these two and see where you can leverage technology to make education more accessible or more simpler and more fun. So that has been always a great, interest. Even in terms of research, for example, gamification of learning. So you need to understand game theory, and then you need to bring it into education. Right. So this is how I've always connected it to education and this field, and that has kept me going in this particular field of line, field of work as such.
Sure, sir. And Sir, being the principal, I'm pretty sure a lot of important decisions lie at your end, and you are the head of the institution in a way, right? So what is the leadership style that you generally follow at St. Joseph's?
The leadership style at St. Joseph looks for accountability, and we normally try to provide what is required in terms of resources, give people the type of freedom that they want to have. But then we call for accountability. We said then once we have given you all this, what have you done with it? So accountability is established in many ways. And so that is where we are so we don't monitor too much on what people are doing, but we ask them to show the outcomes of what has been given to them. If we have given you facilities, if we have given you powers, what have you done with it? That is the question always very foremost in the mind.
Right.
The other thing that we have in terms of administration and governance in St. Joseph is that we look for teamwork and a commitment. That is always something which we always look for. So we try to build leaders who are committed and who can work with the rest of the people. So many times we sacrifice on some experienced thing that we have to do, because we want to take everybody along. So sometimes things don't get done so fast.
Right.
It's because you want to involve everybody. So when you want to involve everybody, you need to take time. You need to talk to people, take decisions. Sometimes decisions do take time, but then whatever decisions are taken, they are decisions of many people. They are all group decisions, and there is more buy-in and more support for things. That is the way we try to function.
Sure, sir. Sure, sir. And sir, talking about that and the university, and so what do you think are your roles and responsibilities towards the university as well as the students of St. Joseph, sir?
Well, I think by university, you mean the university we are affiliated to, Vishwesvaraya Technological University. Yes. Okay. So the college is affiliated to VTU, and in terms of that, there are certain responsibilities one has to, look into. So the university reposes some faith in us that we will translate their programs into reality according to the scheme set out. So many times we have to make sure that the regulations are followed properly, and that the students are able to come up to the requirements of the university in terms of answering exams, or in terms of attaining the learning that is happening, which is normally evident through the continuous internal evaluation system. So implementing all this properly according to what the university says is the main role of the principal. Is one of the things that where we show our our compliance to the university in terms of doing things according to the regulations. So this is one thing that is a relationship between the university and the college as such, and the principal plays a main role in making sure that is followed. Then of course there is the other things like applying for new courses and all that. Those are all those are formal requirements which one needs to do, the official requirements. But mainly making sure the academic program runs according to what the university says, that is the important thing that we have to look at. Yes.
Sure, sir. Thank you so much, sir. And sir, how we would also love to know that how does the curriculum of St. Joseph's Engineering College ensure that it is the best practice in the industry, sir?
See, the curriculum right now, as we stand, we are an affiliated college, so it is actually mainly determined by the university. The syllabus is determined by them. The curriculum is a largest set of the syllabus. So we are free to add things to the syllabi, and we do add a lot of other things. So one is that the basic syllabus itself, which the university gives us, is updated once in 4 years for the BE program. In fact, in the last few years, it was updated even more frequently. Sometimes, once it was done after 2 years, once it was done after 3 years. So then, university has a syllabus version number 2013, 2014, 2015, like that. So there have been many revisions recently. But then that goes to show that they are very responsive to the needs of the society and revising things quickly, even though it entails a lot of work for them.
Yeah.
Now, on the college side, we add a number of additional components, and again, the additional components are based on our stakeholders' needs. Supposing, let us say, we get input saying that our students are not so good in, let us say, communication skills, then we bring in some additional training for that. When let us say we get feedback saying that they need more hands-on training, then we add components for that. So we have added things like tinkering lab, engineering exploration, all beyond curriculum, beyond syllabus. And we make sure that we stay in tune with what the union industry requires.
Right.
That is one way of doing it. But then we still have to do a lot more in that regard, actually.
Sure, sir. And sir, talking about a lot of co-curriculars and add-ons, apart from the syllabus that you have already included. So are there any plans or any strategies or any other course that you are currently developing that will benefit the students in a larger way, sir?
Okay, strategies, I wouldn't really share everything with you, of course, but then I will tell you a few of our plans, no problem. We want to make sure our courses should be having more of artificial intelligence, machine learning, and some of these new things like data science and so on.
Yeah.
And that the courses should become more technology enabled. This COVID situation also has taught us that we need to get our students more tuned into technology, the use of technology for learning.
Right.
So bringing in that has been a main focus for us in the last few months, where we are trying to train our faculty on online teaching, how to use many tools to do that, and how to develop online courses and this sort of thing. So this is something which we want to really take up in a big way. The other thing that we really are focusing on is trying to make bring in more hands-on learning. Something that students, okay, online is fine, virtual is fine, you are okay, but then if you don't really build and do things with your hands, you're then not an engineer then.
Absolutely.
So getting students to do that has been a little challenging this year because of COVID. But last year and all, we had done a lot of that, and we plan to, once they come back to campus, get them into places where they can do work, make a space for them, take them to villages or farms and other places where they can look for problems and try to solve them and get them involved, engaged with the actual work. That is a great thing. That's what we're trying to do. Yes.
Sure, sir. And sir, what would you say is your college's greatest strength, sir?
Okay, college's greatest strength. See, in the recent times, there have been many new things which have come. I could quote any one of them, but I would still go back to the time-tested one: discipline. Discipline. Many people feel, there's not much more space in these recent times. People say you need to give more freedom and let them express and let them, learn with fun and all that. But for a professional life, a discipline is an important foundation one needs to have. So our college is known for discipline. Many people come and join the college saying we want discipline. We have found students also say we know that there is discipline here, that's why we come here. Parents say that. Many times after they join, they don't want discipline. They come here for the discipline, but then we have to tell them why they need to do certain things and how they become part of the discipline as such. I think many students, by the time they finished 1 or 2 years on campus, they understand that concept. So they go out as graduates who are having good discipline, they do well in the industry, and they come back and tell us this is one thing which really kept us up. So that is our USP, that is our unique selling proposition. I would say discipline. Yes. Thank you.
Sure, sir. And sir, talking now more on the larger picture about the college, so when you came to the college as a principal, almost 13 years back, so what was the vision that you saw for the college at that point in time? And 13 years now down the lane, how far along you feel you have come?
Actually, I have been principal only now for 2.5 years, Tejas. Okay. I have been with the college for 13 years. When I joined here, I was an HOD in computer science.
Okay.
And then a few years after that, I was appointed as the Dean of Academics, and then as Vice Principal. And then I became the principal. Okay. So I have spent almost equal number of years in the other 3 categories. As HOD, I have spent enough time as Dean, and then as Vice Principal, almost 5 years. And now I'm principal for the last 2.5 years. So I have seen the college growing. As I have grown in my career, so has the college also grown hand in hand, I can say. It is a young college going by comparison. Yeah. And we have a young faculty, and there's a lot of hope. So I see that there's a lot of potential here for further growth. The growth that I've seen in the last few years makes me very hopeful. I see a lot of response from the young faculty and the students to the new things that we are trying to bring in. People take up leadership. People are ready, open to ideas, and that is a very refreshing thing. The other thing is that we have an administration, the director and so on, who stay on campus. They are 24/7 on campus, and they are not the owners type of people. They are people who actually come and work along with the rest. That type of people we have, because they are priests, So, yes. These are all great advantages that we have for our campus, and that is how the college is doing so well, as such.
Sure, sir. And sir, on that point, when you talk about the kind of growth you have seen, right, and you feel very positive about the growth, and especially the young crowd that is there in terms of your students as well as the faculties at a college. So what do you think your priorities for the college in terms of academics, in terms of the number of students that pass out in terms of placements over the next let's say 10 years? I understand that's a big lot of time, but what are the general major areas that you should be looking at in the next 10 years, sir?
Well, we have tried to define some of these things and try to work on our long-term plans. So to some extent, I can say when we were growing in the last 18 years of our existence, sustainability has been a very important theme that as such. We don't believe in opening too many courses and too many things and then not being able to manage them. Whatever we do, we want to do it well.
Right.
So that is why we have always taken very sustained steps to start something, stabilize it, then go to the next, that sort of thing. And this has helped us a lot, and we want to make sure this sustained growth goes forward also. One of the important steps we took recently is to apply for autonomy. We are on the very verge of getting autonomy. By next year, we'll be an autonomous college, I'm quite sure. And then 10 years down the line, we might look at being deemed university or deemed this thing as such. I think with the NEP coming in, that might happen even earlier, because the NEP calls for autonomous degree granting institutions, which means there is almost as good as deemed university sort of thing, and it's not difficult to attain that status under the NEP. But even before the NEP was brought in, we were thinking of reaching that status maybe around 10 years from now. But now at this point we are going autonomous, and that is an important step for us. So this is how we have been developing, and we want to take it forward. In terms of meeting the aspirations of students and so on, we want to make sure we put out for students who have their heart in the right place, humans, rather than automated, people as such. People who should have the right concern for society, for everyone, and should work. That is the main thing, not technology oriented sort of thing. That is important. Technology is important, but people, they should be humans first. That is what. So this is where we that's why our motto is service and excellence. We always put service before excellence, and we believe that every time we need to give excellent service. And that is what we try to make sure our graduates have at the core of their system as such. Yeah.
Sure, sir. Thank you so much for that answer. So, taking you a little bit, off track here, and I would like to know your perspective on, what do you feel are some of the challenges for higher education at this point in time, and or some of the challenges that you might see for St. Joseph's as well.
I think the challenges come in here because there's a rapidly changing, the technology arena all around. Things are, converging in some ways and diverging in many ways. So knowing where at what point we have to put our programs, how to design the programs, and still have the flexibility to make sure that, let us say, a student who has enrolled for a bachelor degree in AI/ML, 4 years down the line, will AI/ML be still relevant? Yeah. That sort of a challenge is always going to be there.
Yes.
So how to design programs which are still relevant 3 or 4 years down the line? Because the student will take 3 or 4 years to graduate. Yes. How do you do that? You can't change things and labels and all just midway. You can't do that.
Yes.
So most of the education institutions have this challenge that dynamically we can't go about changing things just because industry wants it. But the industry can go about doing anything with their products and services and so on. They need to do it because they have to be responsive. Yes. Education institutions do have some constraints. And so these people keep on talking about the gap between the industry and the academia. There is a problem there because in the academics, you can't go about making learning happen unless there is a stability in the content of what you're going to learn. You can't keep it too dynamic.
Yes.
At the same time, you need to build students who are able to learn by themselves, make them lifelong learners. So that is one way of facing that challenge. You make students be able to learn by themselves, and if that is the case, then there is no problem. What label they go out with as such. But these are challenges. This is a challenge for higher education. All across, people say make it multidisciplinary, come out with interdisciplinary skills. How do you do that? Because the disciplines are growing. Sometimes they're converging, sometimes they are diverging. So that becomes a challenge. It is always a challenge. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Sure, sir. So lastly, any advice you have for the aspiring students and the current youth, sir?
Well, I think aspiring students and current youth should not always focus only on one end of the technology as such and try to become geeks or get too much involved in technology. I would say they should try to have a love for the arts and a larger love for social sciences and
Yes.
so on. Try to get into do a little bit of reading. I had to understand what is humanity about, what is nature about, what is the environment about. Try to get into those things because those are the relevant things one needs to get connected with. Rest of the things, technology is always take you can always learn it. But these things, if you don't have it at the center of your existence, then you don't really become a human as such. You're not a part of the world as such. So that is where I tell our youth, focus on this, not that. But I find many times their focus is different. That's where bringing them back is very important for us.
Right.
Yes.
Sure, sir. I think that was all from my end, sir. Thank you so much for taking out your precious time and sharing with us all the facts about St. Joseph's and talking about your visions, your aspirations, and your leadership style as a principal there. So pretty sure this interview will reach out to a lot of students, a lot of potential students also who are looking for admissions into St. Joseph's. So they will also know that what to expect from the college, and pretty sure that it's a fine institution to complete your engineering from. So thank you once again, sir, for your time, and thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Tejas. Thank you. So nice talking to you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Same here, sir. Thank you.